Hi there, and welcome to this lightning talk on static websites on Azure Storage. My name is Mike Martin, and I work as a cloud solution architect at Microsoft. I also do some evangelism on that. If you want to follow me, please find my credentials here and find my contact data here, so that way we can stay in touch if you have any questions during my talk or after my talk. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the forgotten love we can have for storage accounts, because storage accounts has something really nice as a feature called static websites. Now you would say, why would one want to have static websites on storage? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of benefits there in just a couple of seconds. But since the coming of app service static websites, we kind of forgot that we also have another landing zone for static websites. And storage is actually more beneficiary in some cases if you just have no moving parts needed. So if we take a look at storage, why should we choose storage? Well, first of all, it's blazingly fast. Azure Storage is one of the oldest services we have in Azure, and since we are using a vast network, worldwide, global storage network worldwide, where you can benefit from all the different kind of replication parts, this will actually help you to create a faster attainable solution. That's first. Second of all, Azure Storage Service has a tight integration with any kind of CDN. Since CDN is a content delivery network, we can just copy our sources locally closer to the end user, so that way the end user doesn't have to do full round trips to any kind of storage account all over the world. So we actually, underneath the covers, we just move all the storage assets into the CDN endpoints, and it can be then enabled there for you as an end user. So for your end users, this would mean a very much more faster connection to your site with a better latency and higher performance and higher throughput. Third of all is that we also have low maintenance, very low maintenance, because we have no moving parts. The only thing that you need to focus on is your code. You don't have to worry about server infrastructure because it's static websites. And why would you rather have a static app service website instead of a storage website, where an app service website is still having an underlying server that it is running on? So fourth part is it comes with out-of-the-box metrics. You have storage metrics and storage insights that you can use to monitor the health of your environment, whether it's reachable, and all these things. Of course, if you want to have deeper integration inside of your application, you're still going to need application insights to monitor the application part itself. And last but not the least of it, it's this cheap. I mean, you can run a static storage website for less than a coffee per month. Basically just paying for the storage that you stored. And if you don't have a lot, if you just have some images and just a static site or even an SPA that you're going to run, it can be really cheap. Of course, everything else that comes along with it, like backend APIs, you can just run on functions, which can also be cheap if you have not a lot of calls towards the function. So that way you can write your APIs in there. Now, this really makes it a very attractive platform to run your static websites. Now, it also comes with some thinking. Yeah. But getting started is actually pretty simple. So if you only have static sites needed, you can really start off very simple. And from here out, I'm just going to start do demos. I'm only going to show you one more slide at the end of my demo to show you some of the architectures that you can build. Okay. But for now, I'm just going to go with demos. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to create a static site from within the CLI. So I have here a simple HTML page, and it's really stupid. And I already uploaded it into a static website on Azure Storage. As you can see here, this is the local part. Yeah. So this is just a stupid website where I have a book that a friend of mine wrote at hand, so that you can download and that you can also take a look at or buy even. And I uploaded it with a custom DNS name, domain name onto Azure Storage. As you can see here, same page. So I'm just going to go basically with that one. Now, first of all, we need to create our environment for that. Now we're going to do that. I'm first going to show you how you can do this in the CLI. So the Azure CLI has some very interesting command line parameters for that, and the command line commands for this. So first of all, what you need is you need a resource group. Everything bounds with the resource group. So what we're going to do here is going to create this resource group. So what I'm going to do here is run this line. There we go. This will take a couple of seconds. There we go. And I put the output into a table so that way it's more readable. Now, second of all, we're going to create our storage account because we, of course, we need a storage account, which makes sense, right? I'm going to run this one. Give it a couple of seconds to be created. What I'm going to do here is just going to create a standard storage account with standard local replication, nothing fancy, in the Western Europe, inside of that resource group that we just created. I'm just going to name this StatWeb Live CLI, so that way you know that I'm creating it live through the CLI. And give this a couple of minutes or seconds. Voila. And then for the next line that we're going to run, here we have it. So it's now running, as you can see here nicely. So it's in our resource group. It has been created. It has HTTPS traffic only in Western Europe. Now, the next thing that we want is we need to enable the static website properties. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to the service properties of the blob part inside of the Azure Storage account. I'm going to update those with setting the static website to true. So this is just enabling this one. And setting a error document and an index document. That's basically it. So this is how we enable this. I'll do this. As you can see, it will only take a couple of seconds. And once that's done, the only thing that we still need to do is upload all the different assets from our site. So this is going to be this website. So this is this folder. So this is my error environment. So as you can see, my 404 document, the images that I'm running there, and my index document. So that's basically my stupid website with no design skills whatsoever. So I'm just going to upload those inside of that environment. Now, I did here is I'm going to upload this in batch, so that it's the fastest, just to the storage account. Now, as you can see, there's a destination here called web. Now, this folder with a dollar will be created upon the enablement of the static website. And this is actually also going to create an additional endpoint. And I'll talk about that endpoint in just a second. So I'm just going to do this, copy everything. Give it a couple of seconds. There we go. Oh yeah, the Git folder was hidden in this terminal. Okay, my bad. Don't worry. There we have it. So now we have our files uploaded, and now the only thing that I need to do is to know where to look for this site. So for this, we need to check out the endpoints. Now you know that there's an endpoint for each of the storage services that we have. So we have an endpoint for blob, we have an endpoint for table, we have an endpoint for queues, files. And today we also have an endpoint called web. And web is the endpoint for getting the static web page. So if I do now, if I run this line, you will see that it will give me back a table with the endpoint that I can start querying. Here we go. So this is a site that created. So this is the endpoint that it created. If I do a control click, it will actually, I want to open this external website. Yeah, it asks me for whether it's safe. And as you can see, it is now live at statweblivecli.web.core.windows.net. So this is a full Azure qualified domain name. Now, if you take a look at the thing that it created from within the portal, we actually can do take a look on how it is looking from a Azure portal perspective and also from a storage account perspective. If we take a look here in the down here inside of the little part in the data management called static website. Now this is one I created beforehand, so bear with. It's another URI, as you can see. I can take a look at the other one, but that was the fastest path into that one. If you take a look at this static website, you will see that you will be able to change all of the properties that you have for the ones that I did earlier. So I created the basic index document, and I also created a document path with the four elements if the page is not there or there's any errors. So we can just design it the way you want it. And as you can see, it also has a fully qualified Azure name. Here is also a direct link to the container where you can go, and this is the enablement of the service itself on the storage account. Okay, so you can change these from here out, and then you just, if you're doing it through the portal itself, then the only thing that you still need to do is go to Storage Explorer and just copy all your files inside of there. Now, it's not only that. I mean, the portal itself, also the VS Code also has capabilities of working with it, and there's a great extension for it from the Azure Toolkit. So if you go inside of the extensions that you created, there's a storage account extension, and if you can take a look here, I can actually show you. So if I were to say, here it is, here's my CLL Lightning static, I can actually show you that there's also a blob container called web, and all my files here are accessible, and I immediately can also just say open them immediately in File Explorer, so I can start editing on the storage account immediately from here out. And as you can see, I can also open them in File Explorer specifically, so that way in a new window or not, and that way I can start changing some of the code or these things. What I'm going to show you, however, is I'm going to quickly show you how you can deploy this into a new one from within the VS Code interface also. So if we take a look at we right click from the Explorer part, we can actually see deploy to static websites via Azure Storage. What we can do here is create a new storage account, or you can use an existing one. I'm just going to say CLL live demo, not existing, so that's okay. I can then just do enter. I'm going to do this in the same resource group to make it faster. So CLL Lightning, that's the talk. Would you like to enable static website hosting? So all these questions are coming back. Yes. This is my index.html. This is the file that I'm going to use as my landing page. And this is my error 404 document. So this is going to be 404 HTML. Very stupid, very simple. There we go. And I'm going to deploy this in Western Europe. Now you will see here that this will also give you some feedback. This only takes a couple of seconds. As you can see, step 2 of 4. And now the beauty of it all is that once you've done this, you can just use Visual Studio Code just to copy also the files once you've updated them. So you can just use that same mechanism. So I'm just going to wait until it's created. And this will give you then immediately a button. Here you go. There you see. So deploying to CLL live demo, and there you have it. And now I can just say browse the website, and this will immediately open up the website again in my browser, as you can see, and I can immediately start looking at it. Now, From a metrics perspective, this is really cool, because a lot of things that you already have, you can build dashboards from just the storage insights and also from the metrics that you have, so you can use those. As you can see, there's the transactions, and you can see that there's actually traffic going on. But not only that, you also will see bandwidth usage, and even errors if they occur. So this will give you failures of reading files, and this can actually help you take a look at how the sanity or the accessibility of your site is being capable. So as you can see here, so if there's any errors here, you can actually take a look at it. It's not as deep as, of course, application insights. For those things, you still need to do other stuff, but you have at least issues that you can see where there's authentication errors, authorization errors, and so on. So this gives you a good overview, and you can immediately pin those to your dashboard if you want to, as you can see here. Now, one more thing that I want to show you is this only stands as stall as in combination with the other services that you have. So to create a good storage-based environment, you need something else next to that. If you want to do static websites, the better thing is to have also a defense and management capability in front of which. And for that, we're going to use something like Front Door, for instance. You can also use Traffic Manager if you want to, but if you want to do custom naming and the CDN encapsulation and also some of the monitoring on top of that, then Frontier is way better. And to give you a good idea how you build a nice environment like this, of course you have front door design, you can have web application firewall, but typically you start off by giving the front-end domains. As you can see here, that this one is going to the FD, and it is rerouting back to cl.t2kx.com. I use the backend pool of the static source and have some routing roles here. So this is very easy to handle it. And then from there out, you can have all the diagnostics and the logging, so that way you can see how your flow is going. But if you really want to have a nice overview and a good write-up of these things, there's the URL list built by Cecil Phillip and Burke Holland that explains you all the different things that you can do and how you build a full serverless and static site by only using those things. I also have a default or standard reference architecture here, where you can see, and this is a little bit the setup that I had, where you can see that you browse into the front door and into the CDN if you've enabled it, into the storage account with the static web enabled. You can use backend APIs on functions if you want to call them out and use and also deploy them as your backend. And you can monitor for infrastructure with monitor and application insights and storage metrics to give you a good overview of the sanity of your services and your websites. I hope you found this useful. With that, I want to thank all the sponsors, and I want to thank you for looking at my Ride the Lightning talk for this specific Cloud Lunch and Learn marathon. Thank you, and hope you enjoy the rest of the event.